Okay, first thing you do is add 2 cups of flour into a mixer and 1 egg. Two tablespoons of vegetable oil. One tablespoon of wine. White wine, that is. If you don't have white wine, I believe you can use vinegar. Okay. Pinch of salt. 1/2 cup plus 2 tablespoons of warm milk. I warmed up in the microwave. And that's it. Then just mix until a really nice dough forms. The dough will be very sticky, but that's okay. Now the dough is too wet, so we're going to slowly add flour until it forms a semi-ball. So about another 2 tablespoons of flour should do it. Next I'm going to scrape it into a well-oiled bowl and cover it with plastic and let it sit for 2 hours. It might be difficult to get the dough out of the bowl, but using a well-oiled spatula helps. Make sure when you have the dough in the bowl that it's coated with the oil, and then you cover it with the plastic and let it sit for 2 hours. In the meantime, cut up your apples and add some sugar and cinnamon to the apples and let them sit so a lot of the water drains from them. So minimum 2 hours for the 2. There's about 8 good-sized apples needed for a strudel. You can probably use a bit more, but 8 usually does it. Make sure you cover the apples while they sit so that they really let out the juice and don't turn brown. The only brown you should see is the cinnamon. So we're going to just start by putting the dough on a floured surface and get it out. Okay. It's pretty greasy at this point. We just want to get it stretched out as much as we can before we start. At this point you have to use a lot of flour. So we get a cloth and we spread out a lot of flour on the cloth. It's really floury. Smooth that out a bit. Okay, and then we bring the dough over. And this is where we start stretching. Nice and easy. To keep it still, sometimes it's good just to put a rolling pin on one end. This is where you gotta be patient and take your time. Once you get around the corners, it's a lot easier. Don't worry if you make a little bit of a hole. It all gets hidden later. Oh, again. It's because I'm rushing a bit. Okay, now it's stretched. Now we have to top it. What we do is we cut off the thick edges so there aren't any thick parts. You can save the trimmed dough for the next day and it'll be ready to reuse if you want to make a little strudel. Take about 3 tablespoons of melted butter and just coat as much of it as you can. It's important to do the top side, but it doesn't hurt to do the bottom. So the apples will be on this side, and then this is the outer coating. Okay, next what you're going to do is sprinkle a good amount of breadcrumbs along the one edge. There. Now next we put on our apples and put them on top of the breadcrumbs. Now these apples have been sitting for quite a while, so there's a lot of juice on the bottom. We don't want that juice. Okay, next we roll. So we flip that over and roll up our cloth and we start rolling the strudel. Make sure it's nice and tight. Fold in the edge on each one. And voila. Okay, so we get our baking sheet, lay down some parchment or a silicone sheet, and then we gently place it on like a snake. Okay, next we're just going to rub some butter along the top and stick it in the oven at 400 degrees for half an hour. So be generous with the butter. Okay, then Once it's cooked, turn the oven off and let it cool slowly in the oven. Wait at least about an hour and then take it out and cut immediately. If you take it out and try cutting it when it's hot, it'll break apart. If you let it cool too quickly, it'll turn soggy. Then, once it's cut, you just sprinkle some powdered sugar over it and it's ready to eat.